Okay, so Annie, let's take us back to maybe about 18 months ago. Walk us through the series of moments or the trigger points that led to you joining the RNT journey.
So I think for me, I really love fitness. I genuinely love fitness. I think like when I first started going to the gym years ago, I just really found a great outlet. And to me, it's so like interlinked with my mood as well. When I don't train, I'm just a really different person. I think it's such a stress relief. So I love training. And even though I have indulged in like other programs before, they've been more kind of, I suppose it kind of feels like a quick fix because it's those kind of like 8-week programs, like you expect to change, and then you don't really get that sustained change that
Mm.
you're always after. So you might get some results, but then there's nowhere to go after that, and it's just like, how do I get into that shape that I want to get into, but then be able to sustain it and actually understand what I need to do that, and not keep program hopping and just expecting quick results and then not being able to, see it through. So I think I just got to the point where I was just like, I know what I want, but it's always that like, that you have to invest in something more and you have to be prepared to see it through. And I think maybe I just felt like, I don't know if I'm ready for it. And I was kind of umming and eyeing, and just like the financial commitment. And for people who don't know, I'm an actor, so my life is anyway so all over the place. And just like, there's no kind of sense of every day being the same, or routine is one thing which I don't genuinely have, but I still try and instill it in some ways, like trying to sleep on time and going to the gym every day. But then beyond that, it just feels all a little bit out of my control. So I think just understanding and coming to terms with whether I'm ready to make that commitment to a program and then really like go all in and do it 100%. I think that was something I was just like unsure about. And then obviously spoke to you about it, and I was aware of RNT, and it just felt like I had to kind of take a leap of faith and take a plunge and just try something that I've not done before to get a result which I've not had before.
Amazing. What was the trigger moment where you're like, I can't do another one of these 6-week cleanses. I can't do another one of these 10-day boot camps. I remember when we were speaking, it was probably
Yeah.
around maybe August, September time last year. We've known of each other for a while, and you reached out about fitness around sort of August, September, and you said you're telling me all the problems you had, and I was like, you need to do RNT. But
Yeah.
what was your point where you just had enough of like the quick fix stuff?
Yeah, I think it was just like, I know that I've been trying in my own capacity to do everything, like just in terms of figuring it out, even like research and listening to podcasts and all of these kind of things, like because there's so many tools available, right? There's so much on YouTube, there's so much, but I think there is a reason coaches are coaches, and obviously there's an expertise there. There's like, you're eliminating like the guessing and the trial and error, and you're just kind of handing that control to someone else to some degree.
Mm.
And I think I was just like, why am I not doing this when it makes sense? Why am I trying to do everything myself? And I think my personality is just, I'm one of those people who try and control everything, and who want to kind of do everything myself and not delegate things. And this was just an area which I just felt like, I think so much of this is tied into my um, confidence level and so many other things, that if I don't do this, it's still just going to really affect me. And 1 year from now, I don't really want to be in that same
Yeah.
headspace. So, and then obviously spoke to you, and you explained the process, and you explained that we can make this happen in terms of make it more accessible for me. And then I was just like, I just have to try. I have to just try. So that was just like the point where I was like, okay, once I commit, once I make that payment, I'm gonna have to see it through.
Yeah, amazing. So you said there's so many different things on YouTube, there's so many things on Instagram. Why did you choose RNT versus all the million other options out there?
Well, I mean, I think something you guys do that's unique is also explain very well that, it's not a quick fix. and it's not just going to be something that, I think the fact that there are a lot of programs out there and a lot of trainers out there who might who would be available for sort of shorter periods of time as well, and it wouldn't be kind of like a minimum 12-month commitment that you're looking at from get-go. And I think that's the difference with RNT, is that you explain why that minimum is needed, because it's not just about just getting the results. It's also almost like there's like a prep to get those results, and then there's a time for those results to happen, and then it's like, okay, how do I maintain these results? So there's such a process to it, and I think it's just a more accurate way and a realistic way of getting goals that you can sustain. So I think that is the difference, that mindset of it's not a quick fix, and there's different stages, and we're going to support you through these stages.
Amazing. So you've got a really busy life where, like you said, it's very unpredictable. One month you're in India, 1 month you're in UK, then you could be a different part of UK, and you've got a very unpredictable schedule as well. So all these are like the most common reasons for people not wanting to take control of their health and fitness, especially travel, schedule, busy lifestyle, etc. How did you find the process of sort of integrating nutrition, training, steps, all the other bits you need to do to live a healthy and fit lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard. Like, I won't lie. It's freaking hard sometimes. I think it's like sitting with yourself and asking yourself what's important to you, one. And like me knowing that health and fitness is genuinely really important to me, that I genuinely have an interest in how do I live a long, healthy life. And that's something which is really important, like on my set of values. So that makes it easier to begin with, because it's not something that you're just gonna do automatically, and there's going to be certain practices that you're going to have to keep doing to make it become a habit, and you might not even enjoy some of them. Fortunately for me, like the element of going to the gym was actually quite easy, and is actually quite easy because it's so connected to my me de-stressing.
Yeah.
But the nutrition aspect is a different thing. And even though I feel like I educated myself and I'm aware of, okay, these foods are good for me and these foods aren't, it's also about knowing how to eat for your body and how to eat in a way to get the goals that you want and then maintain it, and all of the rest of it. So on the nutrition aspect, I think I've always just been quite confused. Like, what do I need to do to get these results? How do I need to eat? How much protein, carbs, and fat do I need? How much, and really kind of understand that connect between like mind and body, and how these foods are affecting my body when I eat them. And then understanding things like our psychology, like, the reason behind cravings, and just all of this. But definitely nutritionally is where I feel like for me, there was a big missing piece, and I really had to, I needed help there for sure. And with the schedule, it's extremely unpredictable. I think a lot of the time, so Ed, who's coaching me as part of RNT, I think Ed has always just said, even in moments where it just seems like everything's getting out of control, just take a step back and ask yourself, what are the factors you can control right now? Because sometimes I think life is going to get in the way, and there are going to be moments where everything isn't in your control. But I think, we do have certain things in our control all the time, and it's just figuring out what those things are.
Well, you mentioned that the results that you've wanted for so long. What are the results that you've always wanted? What did you come here to achieve, and what was like the why behind it all?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, like having a lean physique is important. It's also an asset in my line of work. And I think just for me, just being able to do any work and feel like I can wear anything, and that's gonna, I'm gonna look good in it, I'm gonna feel confident in it, and I can carry it off. I think that's like a really big thing for me, because so much is about how we physically like look and appear. And I just feel like when I'm confident in my body, it's not of course it's not about a number on the scale, but I think when each person is confident in who they are, and that's going to look different for everyone, but you just carry yourself differently. I think you feel better in yourself. And I didn't feel good feeling like I'm constantly fluctuating, and then finding myself in like the headspace of like, oh God, I can't, maybe I should just like, you know, just not eat much today, and that's going to solve it, and that's going to change it. Do you know what I mean? Like you get into that mindset where you're just like, oh, I just don't know. I don't know how to control this. And you kind of then want to go to like doing extreme things, which are not the healthy way. It's not the healthy way to do it anyway. So I think just for me, it was just like maintaining a lean physique, but also like just feeling my best. Like, yeah, just believing that I feel my best, I'm doing my best. Also not just losing weight for the sake of losing weight, but maintaining a certain amount of muscle and feeling toned, and yeah, just feeling good overall, feeling my best self, I would say.
Amazing. So you came into RNT, you knew what you wanted to accomplish. How did you find the process of it? The process of getting started, building these new habits in. What was the process like of working with RNT and the system we have laid out?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially just like the education is so great. Obviously, you guys have the app, and I know we were like the first kind of group trying that whole, you know, trying it all out. But it's been really, really useful. I think just the educational tools and the videos that go out that we get every day, being able to learn something new and learn the why, and then have these kind of like reflective questions where we can also, you know, apply the knowledge that we're learning on the go. But initially, I think it was just, yeah, understanding how to eat, how to also combine foods in the right way. That was something that I'd not done before. So that was like newly educating myself, and now feeling definitely more confident that even if I am out and about at a restaurant and I'm ordering something, ideally what those food combinations should be, you know, what I should be eating on my plate and what that roughly looks like. I think that's all come from that first initial phase. And beyond that, obviously, like going through the grind of having to really kind of lower my calories and get to that checkpoint. That was definitely very, very challenging. I think there are a lot of times where we're just not honest with ourselves as people. And I think facing that, like, and getting to a point where you just get a bit fed up with your own self, because you know that you're the thing that's stopping you getting the results. Like you're the one who's getting in the way of that. I think that is a hard thing to face as well, just to accept that you're just self-sabotaging a lot. But I think RNT in general, I just think like so much is also about the psychology. So you encourage us to really dive deep and ask ourselves, you know, those questions and why we're doing what we do. And obviously those coaching calls on Zoom as well. It's such a great, like, because of my schedule, I wasn't able to tune in a lot live at the time, but I do go back and watch the videos. And I think when you realize you're part of a community and everyone's on that journey at different stages, of course, but they're asking questions which you want to know, and you're feeling the same things and you're understanding the same things. And I think that feeling that, you know, I'm not in this alone, other people who are doing it. It's so inspiring seeing people getting results, but also actually seeing the process of them struggle as well. You just know it's not a straight line. So I think all the processes have been different and it's still ongoing. So I'm still learning, but it's just, yeah, it's been really, really, I think, life-changing in that way. And definitely like no regrets, and really happy that kind of dived in and started this process at least.
What have you learned most about yourself? Especially you mentioned like during the grind and ever since. What are some of the kind of big aha moments you've had about your own self?
I think just that, yeah, I'm more capable than I think, but I just really do get in the way of that sometimes. Like I do or I try and cheat the process sometimes, where you're just like, and especially in the grind phase where it's like everything shows up, you can't cheat the process, because like if you have even like one meal which is not, you know, on your plan, it's going to show up the next day, and you're in that. And I think I did go through that for a while, and I thought like, okay, you know, I can probably have a bite of this and a bite of that, and it's not going to affect it. But I think you get to the point where you just realize that results are then stagnant, and you're not moving in the direction that you need to move. And and you know, you have to ask yourself why. And then if it's you getting in the way of that because you're jeopardizing that in whatever way, by eating off plan, or maybe not training, not getting enough steps, or whatever it is, then you kind of have to ask yourself, okay, you know, why are you doing it? And at the end of the day, you're paying for these results to happen, you're trusting in someone, so why are you not kind of fully surrendering to the process? So I've just learned so much about, you know, going back to the drawing board and asking myself why I'm getting in the way, and realizing that I'm like an active participant in it, and I've got to take responsibility of that. Because I think, yeah, sometimes we just kind of want to not take responsibility, I guess.
Have you found like that sort of getting in the way has shown up in other areas of your life, that you feel like you're getting in the way of yourself?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it still happens, but I think there's more awareness of it. Like there's more, like now I think I'm curious each time something happens like that, even in, you know, personally, where I'm just like, okay, why, you know, I think I just go back to asking myself why now, and wanting to dive deep and understand more and more, rather than just thinking it's an on the surface thing, or it's something like we can forget about and brush under the carpet. I think really diving in and understanding yourself, understanding your habits. And there's some of them are like so deeply ingrained, like, you know, and with food, like I think we all have a really different relationship to food. And some people eat when they're bored, or eat when they're emotional, or whatever it is. I think we all have those things. And I think like with me, it sometimes is linked to that. It's linked to my emotions in a big way. And we look to that to like fill us up with something, or give us something that we're not getting otherwise. And I think understanding what that is, and sometimes it just might be a matter of like needing to vent and talk to someone, or just, yeah, it's just so tied into, like, for me personally, like procrastination as well at times. I just have to kind of stop and ask myself, okay, but what, you know, what am I doing? Why am I just like sitting on my phone and scrolling? Like, what's wrong with me? So I think we're like, yeah, I think asking ourselves questions and self-reflecting is so important. And yeah, it's not just about fitness and training. I think it's all interlinked. But I think it is like a forever ongoing process, and I'm still like on that journey.
I think so, just the more you can cultivate self-awareness around your habits and the way you think and the way you act, the easier it is to kind of stop these sort of trends happening again, like especially the negative trends or the perceived negative trends, or where you might be getting in your way or adding roadblocks that you potentially they don't really serve you. But it all starts from having that really heightened level of self-awareness. And I think you first really get that when you take control of your health and fitness, because you can't really escape from health and fitness. You know, when you're dialing into your nutrition, steps, training, and you got to do it around a busy schedule, you've got to be super dialed in to like what you're thinking about, what you're doing, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was challenging. So like when jobs have come up in between, especially when I started the journey, I think I started last October, November, and then in December I immediately went on tour for this panto show. And it was really frustrating, because there was a lot of things which I didn't have then access to. So I didn't always have access to the gym, because we were hopping around different hotels and different accommodation. We had 2 shows a day, the timings were different every day. I couldn't always order the food that I wanted to order. I couldn't weigh the food. And especially initially, when we're really trying to control those, you know, all those factors, as well as how much we're consuming and what we're eating. So I just felt a little bit out of control. So I felt like my kind of focus in terms of really dialing in was a bit delayed in the process. But at the same time, I think that education had started. So again, I think it went back to just like trying to control what I could at that time. And just accepting as well, like accepting that I'm not going to be able to do everything at this point of time, but at least let me try and make better choices, at least I can make sure that I'm getting those steps in, waking up a bit earlier to do that if I have to, which is what I usually did when I was on tour. And then if the hotel did have a gym, just making sure I trained on those days. So yeah, I think it's definitely been up and down. It's not a straight line at all, but it's been great. It has been great.
In all of this process, how did you find the aspect of working with us online as opposed to, let's say, the typical sort of in-person personal trainer?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, again, because I'm self-motivated to go and train for sure. And I think I really love being a student of life in general. So I want to learn and I'm really keen to do so and eager to do so. I think that really helps. And then I want to, so that's one thing with me as a personality. I think like when I commit to things as well, I really do want to give 100%. And then if I've committed to a new habit, like if I don't do that in my day, like checking in on the app, like putting, the weight in for like the best set for that workout of the day, I feel like something is amiss. So that's probably a good thing. And I know that's not something that comes to everyone naturally. So that helps. But I think one key thing you guys do as well is just like the encouraging us to like record our training when we can and posting it into our cohort groups, because I think the feedback of that is really key as well, especially since everything is online. Because even though I had been to the gym and I had been training for a while, it doesn't mean like my form was perfect with every exercise, or it doesn't mean like I've now stopped doing things wrong because I didn't have anyone to check in with before. So I think these factors become really important. So for me, it wasn't so much about needing someone to be there in person. I think you still get the feeling actually that someone is there, because they're literally at the end of a message. And like the coaches have been really great. Like, I've sent emails in, we get such quick replies. So if there's any questions in between the coaching calls, there's always someone there. I feel like being part of a cohort group as well, because you can post on your feed and people will encourage you, people will ask questions. It all contributes to that feeling of like, okay, we're part of a community and you're not on your own. So yeah, if that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously some people still, even though online is more common, it's still a bit foreign to some people, the idea of going on a fitness program and having a personal trainer at the gym.
I mean, it's really true, because there's people I know out in India who are they're so used to having a trainer. And I think when I've spoken about doing it online, even to some people, there's a hesitation, because they're just like, no, I need someone to literally drag me. Yeah. I mean, I know people who need their trainers to come and like knock on their door and literally drag them out of the house. So yeah, I think it's probably a different need for everyone.
Absolutely. So Anisa, how's the physical being the vehicle for you?
I mean, I just think it ultimately absolutely is the vehicle for me, because I think everything starts from that. Like, I think it's the beginning of so many things. I know that if I'm physically feeling good, I'm physically feeling confident in my body, that my mind is going to automatically sync with that my day is going to be better. I'm going to just generally wake up feeling more rested, more positive, like more able to just tackle anything that comes at me, and get over obstacles, and just I just feel stronger in myself. So I think like it really is such a key piece to our overall well-being. So for me, it just absolutely, without a doubt is.
Amazing. If you were to speak to someone who's earlier on in their journey right now, what piece of advice would you give them?
I think like try not to be too hard on yourself, in the sense that like every day is not going to look the same, and you might also not get new results every day, so you might feel like discouraged in the process, especially because I think you start the fitness journey where like your results do start coming quickly, and then you reach a little bit of a plateau where you don't see those same results every day, and so you can feel really discouraged, or you can feel like, you know, you're doing all the right things but yet I'm not getting there fast enough, what's happening? And especially if other people around you or in your community are like moving at a faster pace. But I think trusting the process, trusting the journey, trusting the coaches, and constantly communicating. I think it's a back and forth thing for sure. It's also not just like sit back and relax and the coach will do everything. I think it's like, how do I participate in this process? And as long as I'm communicating with them, if certain changes are happening or whatever it is, they're going to be able to give me advise me better on what I can be doing. And also there's been times where I've just been told like, you're doing all the right things, just be patient. Just be patient and wait. So I think I think I would just say just trust the journey, trust that you're on the right journey, and everything takes time, and I guess anything worth having takes time, so just stick with it.
For anyone who's got a lot of travel going on, what are some of the tips you'd give them?
I mean, so generally, if I can, when it's in my control, I always just try and make sure that I have access to a gym. So if it's like in my control, I would definitely make sure that's there, because I think that just, it helps so much. It removes any kind of you know, having to figure out how you're going to train, where you're going to do that, all of that. If that can be done, that's brilliant. If not, figure out how you can just move in your day and get your steps, because I think walking is so underrated, but we can literally do it anywhere. I mean, there's been days that I've done it like in my hotel room, literally. So I just think in terms of steps, I just think there is actually no excuse, because I think I've done like the most ridiculous things sometimes for steps. So if I can do that, I think anyone can do it. But in terms of nutrition, I think that is really challenging, and I think it's worth constantly being in touch with your coach and talking about what's available to you, and what your options are, because I think that's where the coaches come in. That's where like I've really been helped, in terms of, okay, only this is available at a hotel. Does any of these things work? How do I make it work according to my plan? How can my plan be tweaked whilst I'm away? You know, what are the local shops that I can go and maybe grab something from? Or if I can somehow communicate to people I'm working with, if we are going out, like, this is what I need. Can this be available? I just think, just trying to control all the factors that we need to try and control to get the results that we want to get, essentially. So I think just being prepared, the more you can prepare, the easier that's going to be when you're traveling.
Amazing. What almost kept you from joining, Anisa?
I think definitely the financial commitment. I was just, because of the nature of my work as well, like it's not a job where I know like, okay, every month this is the income coming in, and so it's something that I'm used to and I've always been used to, but I think I've always been more likely to I guess it's a weird thing. It's just like sometimes you have to ask yourself some hard questions about the things that you're investing in to get the results you want. And then I had to just get to the point where I was saying like, okay, if this is what I want, and that means I need to invest in this, why am I stopping myself doing that when there is an option to now, especially because like we know that we can pay in installments, and that can become like, you know, they can be an affordable way of doing it. But I think it's just making that why strong enough as well. And me having to go back and just ask myself, why do I want to do it? Why is it important? Why is it important for me to do it now and not start tomorrow? And yeah, that definitely was a hindrance. And other than that, I think it was just me just having to get over this sense of like committing for a year, because that can feel like a lot. And you're just like, what if I don't enjoy it? What if I can't keep up with everything? Then what do I do? Especially because, yeah, as I said, like the schedule is just so different. But yeah, I think the great thing is that, you know, we can see from the podcast, we can see from all the articles and the education and people on the community and the video calls that everyone is just from a different walk of life doing something very different. All our circumstances are hugely different, but yet we're on the same journey in one way. So I think it is possible for everyone, really. It's just that you have to kind of take that first step and want to take the first step.
Amazing. What's the next step then for you, Anisa? Now that you got where you want to get to, what's the next step?
I mean, the next step is definitely, I just want to keep everything going, like everything that I've learned. I 100%, I mean, like this morning itself, like I've been really annoyed because both of I'm part of the gym group, and both of the closest gyms to me have been closed from Monday for refurbishment. And I've just been like, and I've literally just had my brother just got married. I've come off this show, like things have been so crazy. And I was like, from Monday, I just want to get back to like routine and some sense of consistency with meal prep and everything. And then the gym's shut. But then today I like called one of them up and I was just like, are you open? Unfortunately they were. And so I was just back in the gym for training. So I think it's just, yeah, for me, it's I've noticed how much of all of this is tied to my well-being, tied to me feeling my best self, that as long as I'm consistent with it, and I can cement everything I've learned, then I'm not going to go back to how I was feeling or go back to like habits that weren't serving me. So now it's just remembering that, okay, this is the checklist. I need to keep going back to that. I need to, you know, make sure I continue and be accountable. Even if it isn't to a coach, I have to be accountable to myself, because I feel 100% when I'm doing that. So that is definitely the plan.
Awesome. Well, I think you're going to nail that. You've got all the tools you need to build and continue building that lifestyle solution as life continues to unravel in its various ways. So yeah, any final words for the listeners?
I hope so. No, it's not really, just like, yeah, I think enjoy the journey, enjoy learning about yourself, because it's so valuable. And yeah, I mean, I would recommend doing this to absolutely everyone, because I think it's just such a game changer in so many ways. And you might think you're doing it just for like, you know, the body and the like, it could be for an aesthetic reason, but actually there's going to be like an overflow domino effect in every area of your life. So yeah, I would just say just 100% do it for you.
Well, I've really enjoyed seeing your transformation over the last year. I'm glad that we've been able to get you away from the quick fixes and into something more sustainable. So thank you for sharing your story, and I look forward to seeing you continuing to progress.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.